want to stop singing because it was so nice to hear everybody singing Hare Krishna. So it's very like concentrated here, everyone's together and singing. So I was invited to come here and speak because in Amrit we're also just a handful here. I think mostly the core crew is also like a handful, isn't it? So we make the programs together, and it's not a big deal because we try to do the service and we don't get glorified because that's not why we are here. So I was a little embarrassed when he was saying that I'm so senior. I'm not so senior, I'm just a little old. But we have gotten this fantastic gift of Prabhupada came and gave us Krishna consciousness in such a perfect way that we have so much knowledge. The Bhagavad Gita is the basis. I would say, if we read our Bhagavad Gita and we have some grasp of the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, we will never be confused. We may not know everything, but we will never be confused. And then when we have that, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So then when we have that basis, then we enter into the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we get to hear more. We get to know Krishna. We get to see the philosophical points are not just points, but they are lived out and acted out. Different devotees, different incarnations of Krishna. All these things are happening, and each time we start a new canto or a new chapter, there's a new angle to approach Krishna consciousness. And then there's this instruction that we start with the Bhagavad Gita, and then we enter the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we actually have access to. Nobody's new, right? She told me, you're all coming here, you're all regulars, you're all devotees of Krishna, you're all deeply familiar with Gaur Nitai's presence. So Lord Chaitanya, Krishna came in this age because Krishna, he has many reasons. Whenever Krishna does something, he accomplishes many things. But basically this is the Kali Yuga. This is the age where we are not so qualified. And we are not so spiritually inclined, people in general. Of course, in this room, everybody's spiritually inclined, because otherwise why would you come to chant Krishna's name? So Krishna made a plan to create a process that is so simple. It's not necessarily easy to chant Hare Krishna and hear it, but it's not complicated. It's just these 3 words coming in a certain order, and we don't have to have anything special. There's no special structure needed, or money needed, or education needed. Just chant Hare Krishna. It's all there. And also it's so powerful. It's so powerful because Krishna is in his name. I remember when I was very, very new, later on I was giving a class and saying, when you're saying Krishna, that Krishna is there. So, when he said it, it's like you could almost see Krishna there. So it's so powerful. And we have the knowledge, we have the process, and we have a little bit of the structure. Because I think everyone has experienced that to some extent when we, go away to some family who are not interested in this, or when we have to go to work and people are not interested in it, then our own little Hare Krishna mantra becomes very small in the middle of this whole material world. But then Prabhupada created a structure of the temple communities where we can come together and have that association. I noticed that sometimes. I was speaking to someone in Alvi about people having dogs. And then I was saying, it would be like so sad because you have this living entity and you become so close to it. And then when it dies, it's just, 10 years have gone and you just become sad. And then he said, but you wouldn't want a dog, in your house, it wouldn't be clean. I said, of course not, I wouldn't want a dog, because when you serve Krishna, you want to keep a clean environment. But when you get so used to associate with people who have no culture, frankly speaking, and who have no connection to Krishna, and have not even thought about becoming structured in Krishna consciousness, that you become used to having these halfway talks, Oops. Something's happening outside.
Thunder.
Thunder, yes. So we have gotten this great gift from Srila Prabhupada, and then we have to kind of do our best to, first of all, take that gift, and then also protect that gift and serve that gift, and also share that gift to others. So I had so many ideas when I was asked to speak. about this song Radha Madhava, and then I was also thinking of some Bhagavad Gita verses. Was thinking about Krishna consciousness, because it's the same thing like with the Hare Krishna mantra. It's not a complicated thing, but it's a very deep thing. It's a very powerful thing. And sometimes we learn a little bit, and then I remember that. Prabhu was saying here, I've been here for 45 years, and we were all young, and we were all sitting around speculating on the philosophy. You know, and then sometimes, of course, that happened then. It happens even more now. We don't only have each other sitting down. We have the whole internet speculating, and always the loudest voices are not necessarily the voices that are most helpful to listen to. And there are some quarrels over some details, but then we have to understand the big picture. Krishna has given us so many details in the culture, but also some very simple and practical instruction. And I was listening to Prabhupada speaking in Australia, and he's speaking about these first verses in the 9th chapter. And the 9th chapter is called The Most Confidential Knowledge. And then you get a little scared, like, if it's so confidential, can we actually enter it? But that's why it's the 9th chapter. You're supposed to go a little bit gradually. But we understand, we have to at least theoretically understand we are not this body. Because sometimes talk to people that I know about some point. It's not Govardhan Lila. It's just a regular rain, right? A lot of it, but regular rain. And you bring up something you heard or something you thought about, and just look at you. So we come first to this point. Prabhupada keeps coming back to this point. Sometimes they're saying, in the beginning he spoke most about these things, and in the end he spoke more about other things. But I'm listening to a lot of these sound files, and he never steps away from the foundation. And the foundation, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakaranam Karanam. And we are eternal part and parcel, spirit, soul, also Sachitananda, but a little smaller and a little forgetful, so we don't remember it, because we are covered by this material identity, and we are the eternal soul. So when you talk about this philosophy without establishing that fact, and people saying, why should we bother? Why should we bother? Why should we do all these things? I'm from Gothenburg, and I listened there like a few weeks ago, and I actually met a friend from school time. It's like the only one I think that I still have some connection to. And she was saying that she's not religious, she doesn't have faith, but she kind of likes the whole this. And she's saying, why do you have all these rules? Doesn't it get ritualistic? Why do so many, you can't do this, you can't do that? And I said, do you want to know what it means to me? And she said, yes, sure. And I said, if I, in this life, really want to come to the point of realizing my relationship to Krishna, then I am really grateful that there is a method. And I'm especially grateful that, someone has told me what would be problematic. It's like, you want to make a fire, you go out there and try to make a fire, it's not going to work. You have to put some kind of roof over it, because pouring water on the fire cancels it out. I mean, if you have this powerful industrial thing, maybe you can do it anyway. But if you're just a regular person trying to make a little fire, you don't go out in the rain, you don't pour water on it. And you're happy that you know that, because otherwise your fire is not going to take off. So we're very happy that we know we're not this body, and when we practice Krishna consciousness, there are some things that are favoring, that strengthening your Krishna consciousness, and there are some things that will be problematic. I was writing some points, and when I wrote them down, they made complete sense together, but they don't flow together so naturally right now. I'll try to get back to the point. So the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. So what does it mean to be envious of Krishna? Oh, what does it mean? Better? It's not too loud? Okay. Oh yeah, it's noisy, yeah. So envy is an interesting word, because sometimes, like in the modern context, we mostly think, oh, my friend got some ice cream, I didn't get some ice cream, I also want some ice cream. You know, but envy, I think, historically is stronger. It's kind of like, I didn't get an ice cream, you got an ice cream, I'm going to smash your ice cream, and then I'm going to hit you. So when we have that relationship with Krishna, then that's what they also ask, like, you religious people, how can you believe in a God? You look at this world, if God is all powerful and all good, why is there so much suffering? This is a common question. It even has a Latin name. It's called the Theodicee problem. And they have been struggling with it, especially in our local religions where they are not aware of the structure of reincarnation and karma. So we can see that we came to this world not because God particularly is punishing us, but the spiritual world exists. We have a home there. We all have a home there. But when this idea comes up that why is Krishna always in the center? Maybe it would be nice if I was in the center. I could enjoy, I could control. So, yes, I'm not doing this in the right order. I'm saying Krishna is God, we are the eternal spirit souls, we are eternally part of Him, and that relationship is based on love and service. And that is natural. Like we have children, and as parents, we love them, and we take care of them. Of course, we also want to bring them up properly. Sometimes we have to say no, sometimes we have to be a little strict. But basically, the idea is we love them. That relationship is, philosophically it's uncomplicated. When love comes in other constellations, it sometimes gets a little complicated because we're in the material world. But in the spiritual world, it's not complicated. We are not hampered by any external problems. Whatever desires we have for service to Krishna is available. But love is based on free will. We cannot love someone because we have to, we're told to. The spiritual world does not work like that. The spiritual world works like this. We have a desire for service to Krishna. Whatever we want in that service, it is there. It is supplied automatically and naturally. But at the same time, when the desire is not to serve Krishna, that desire is also fulfilled. Krishna have provided us with this material world. It's a facility. It's a gift from Krishna. And if we are sitting in the material world, spiritual world, and looking at all this lovely service and we're not interested, that would be frustrating for us and for everyone else. So we have this facility, we can be here. And here it's bound by laws. There is karmic laws. We all know that. We take birth, we die, whatever we aspire for is available depending on our bank balance, our karmic bank balance. We want to go to the south for a lovely holiday to enjoy. If we have a good bank balance, maybe we go to Thailand or India for a month. If we have a meager bank balance, we can go to Malmö for the weekend. But the free will is there, but our capital from our karma depends on how it works. So that is materially. Spiritually, that's not at all how it works. Spiritually, it means Krishna gave us this opportunity to avoid Him. So He gave us this illusion. So we're looking around sometimes, especially nowadays, I don't know if it's just because I'm old, but I'm just thinking the world gets crazier and crazier for every year. The stuff that is going on, you look at the news, you look at the countries and the wars and the politics, and like, why are they doing all these things? It's so weird. But we can understand that when that envy of Krishna is the basic, and that envy, as I said, it's a range. For some people it means, like we have the Bhagavatam, we have here on Yaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they just want to kill and destroy Krishna and Vishnu and all the Vaishnavas. Of course, they are special cases. At some point, we have to reread that also. They are playing a certain part in Krishna's Leela. But at the same time, we can see it's very active, it's very aggressive, it's very... So that's envy. Let's kill Krishna. And then when we have a little less envy, it just means, why is God coming here and meddling with my business? Let me just enjoy. Let me make my own plan. And they're trying and they're trying and they're trying. But right now I think we can see the world is kind of falling apart. And many have the best intentions. They don't have knowledge. And quite a few, they have no good intentions at all. They just want to, at anybody's expense, they don't care as long as they can get what they can get. So that envy, how do we give that up? So that is why we need a certain process. But more than that, it has to do with free will. So it's like a little bit of a, what is it called? Paradox. You know, if it's our free will, why can't we just do it? Why can't we just love Krishna? But habit is also a big thing. I know now my children they are over 30, but when my daughter was just newly born, she would lay down and she would be like this. I said to my mother, of course I can understand before she's born there is not more space, but now she has all the space she could ever want. Why is she still like this? And she said, well, habit is a very strong thing. So we have this habit from lifetime after lifetime, putting ourselves in the center, putting Krishna away. And then when we want to try to change, that habit holds us back a little bit. So karma doesn't really matter in devotional service. If we are rich or poor, if we are ugly or beautiful, if we are learned or simple, it doesn't hamper our devotion. It just changes the circumstances. But you know, chant Krishna's name, patram pushpam, offer a flower and a water. Anyone can do that. Everyone can do that. But to have this habitual desire to avoid Krishna and put ourselves in the position of enjoyer and controller, that has very strong roots in the material world, lifetime after lifetime. So it can be a little complicated. But therefore we have the Bhagavad Gita, we have the knowledge of the spirit soul, we have the knowledge, like all these different yogic processes that we have. Because then we need sometimes, you know, like why do you say your religion is the best, your process is the best? Why? Isn't everything all the same? The thing is, no, bhakti is the most important thing, because bhakti means love of God. That doesn't mean we criticize any other. Prabhupada didn't criticize other religions. He was saying Christianity and Islam, it is bhakti, because basically the direction is bhakti. It's meant for love of God. He would strongly criticize the followers sometimes, though, because they're not always following it. And when we look to the Vedic traditions, then we have the other yoga processes, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and also jnana yoga to some extent. And I would say those mindsets, not the processes, but those mindsets are prevalent in the modern world also, inside the modern religions and outside the modern religion. The karma yoga mindset means, let me have enjoyment. And the jnana yoga mindset means, let me avoid suffering. And that's all very, very well, we can do that. But then when we get to the perfection of each respective yoga, that's where we again have to make the choice, let me serve Krishna with love. So if you're a very purified yogi, of course, you don't have so much baggage that gets in the way. But in this age, we don't have time to do yoga for hundreds of years first. We don't have the money to do all the yagyas and all of that for our own purification. We start with bhakti immediately, and that's what Bhagavad Gita gives us. So that, how to say, and then we have to understand this bhakti, it is to Krishna, it is to God. Like when we hear about Krishna, Krishna is very charming. You know, he's very beautiful, he has long hair, he has a charming smile, he plays his flute, beautiful. But we have to have some tattva, we have to have some understanding of God. It's not that we're going to give our love and devotion to any musician with nice hair. That's not how it works. We have to know this is Krishna. So there has to be a certain knowledge, and when that knowledge is applied, we start to enter into the service, and then we can connect to Krishna. So it's both. It's both. We have to have some understanding of the philosophy, and we have to have some practice, to have some realization. Hare Krishna, I should do this more often because we want to be interactive and I'm just talking. But we're talking of Krishna, so I'm hoping it's all right. And what I started thinking about was this song that we're always singing before class. Prabhupada was always singing Radha Madhava. Where is my little note? So that's what I actually felt like speaking about. But the translation here is: Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Braja, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Braja, and he wanders in the forests along the banks of the river Yamuna. And then there is a little brackets. Srila Prabhupada was very fond of this song and sang it just before his lectures. In Allahabad and Gorakhpur, Srila Prabhupada fell into a trance after singing the first two lines, and after some time he came back into external consciousness and said, "Now just chant Hare Krishna." Srila Prabhupada said that this song is a picture of Vrindavan. Everything is there. Srimati Radharani, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yashoda, and all the cowherd boys. So it's very beautiful. We are invited. We are invited to come to Krishna's Vrindavan. And sometimes in the daily practice, I see it. We have devotees. There are never enough devotees. There is always more service. There's never enough money. We always need something. And sometimes the day-to-day becomes a little bit of a struggle. Sometimes we don't agree on everything. But then we need to bring ourselves back to the point where we're actually serving Krishna. And Krishna has established this bhakti in this world. Because that's another criticism of religion we get. How can God, and I think that's maybe more in a Christian context, but when I was young, I used to think, how was he thinking? We're all born here in this world. Somehow the world was created, we were thrown into it, and then we live this one short life, and if we don't catch on to doing the right thing, to connect back to him, we're lost forever. I thought I couldn't get behind that. And then the Bhagavad Gita speaks about nobody's lost forever. Nobody's lost forever. We get another chance. We get another chance to fulfill our desires and to receive the results of our previous activities. So we can go down in the kingdoms of animals and plants. We can go up to the devas. That's also quite possible. But that is like going up to the heavenly realms of this world. It seems like an improvement, but it's a little bit like Prabhupada sometimes compares this world to a prison. We are here like he was speaking. He wasn't speaking this morning, but when I wash my dishes and all that, I'm playing some of the classes or some of the morning walks, and then he's saying, so everybody's under the government's control. Either you're a law-abiding citizen or you're in prison. When you're a law-abiding citizen, you follow the laws, so you're under control, but you have more space, more opportunity in life. And in a prison, you thought you were not going to follow the laws, and they really have to follow the laws. You're locked up. So the material world is a little bit like that. So if we try to just do good karma to get a place in the heavenly abode, well, then we are like very good prisoners. And I've actually worked in a prison. And then you get some prisoners who are very trustworthy. They can be like the connecting place between the staff and those inmates. And they get a little more, not exactly facilities. Sweden isn't corrupt like that, but they are trusted more. It's easier for them to be able to go visit us and be able to receive visitors, and life becomes a little more easy for them, and they have a little bit of a say in how things are organized among the other prisoners. So that looks like an improvement, but it's still a prison. And going to the heavenly planet, it looks like an improvement, but we're still in the material world. We don't want to be in the material world. People sometimes ask, but what about animals? Do they make karma? They don't make karma. They live out the karma that was created to some extent, and then they come back. But as human beings, we have this opportunity. We can make that choice. We can make that decision. We can connect to Krishna. And my original doubt, that what about those who never heard about God? What about them? No, the thing is, Krishna also comes in Super Soul. He's in everyone's heart. But there he's more like, what is it? permitter and observer. So generally there's not like a big personal exchange there, but as soon as somebody gets the desire to connect, come closer to God, then He will guide us. He will make us run into some of the devotees. He will give us, somebody will give us a book. He will hear the Hare Krishna mantra. Something like that will happen. So we are never lost because Krishna is, he couldn't be closer. He's in the heart. The soul is there, super soul is there. He couldn't be closer. So when we don't want to avoid him, he will guide us back here. I had a little thought of this Radha Madhava song because it's so beautiful. Like we have this first line, Jaya Radha Madhava. So it says Krishna is the lover of Radha, but Madhava is the name of Krishna. It has many meanings. It means he's also very sweet, but it also means he's the husband of the goddess of fortune. So he has access to all the opulences, everything. But Kunja Bihari, they are playing in the groves of the forest. Very simple, very beautiful. Gopijana Vallabha, so he's the lover of the cowherd maidens of Braja. So that's very special also. I don't want to venture into any, how to say, diving deep into the mood of the gopis. I'm really not qualified. But what they do is they surrender fully. Sometimes when they look at it materially, it looks very strange. Why are these girls going out and dancing with somebody? No, the soul connects back to God in a loving, surrendered way. And they really cannot care about social customs because Krishna is calling them. And that is their surrender. It's not that they take the opportunity to have a little fun. They are just deeply, deeply drawn to Krishna and nothing else matters when he calls them. But then, Girivaradhari. When there is a problem, when the devotees have a problem, like with the Govardhan Leela, we had this kind of weather. They were preparing in Vrindavan, they were preparing to do the Indra Yagya. And then Krishna is there, and I think he's maybe 5 years, 7 years old. He's a little boy. And he said like, Daddy, what are we doing? What are you doing? And so we're making the Indra Yagya, Krishna. It's fine. It's like, why? Because we have to worship Indra but why? Because when it rains, we have everything. The grains are growing, the cows can eat, everything is dependent like that. It's just, but why? Like children are like that. So Krishna is the most attractive child. Krishna starts to speak some funny philosophy like, but it rains also on the mountains and it rains in the rivers, it rains everywhere. It seems to be a little bit random. I don't think this is necessary. I think Govardhan, that's where our riches are. We should worship Govardhan instead. And then because they love Krishna, they say, yes, we will do this Indra Yagya and then we will do Govardhan Yagya also. If you like, we will make that. And then Krishna says, no, now, I want it now. I want it. Govardhan Yagya now. And if he was an ordinary family and an ordinary child, they would have said, you are the child and we are the grown-ups and we know what's best for you. But they love Krishna, so they say, okay, we will do the Govardhan Yagya now. And Indra is so upset. He's so upset. And that's also interesting. We read these stories about Krishna. Mostly we have demons coming and Krishna kills them. But there are some exceptions. Indra, he's a servant. He is, the devas, they have, Krishna has given them his confidence. They have positions, they are working in this universe to keep things going the way. They are certainly more elevated than us, they are certainly more close connected to Krishna, to Vishnu, than we are in general, but sometimes all that opulence, all that power, it makes them a little forgetful. So in this case, either Indra is a little forgetful, or Krishna puts in that position to show an example. So when he retaliates and he's attacking the devotees with rain and hailstones, and this cloud is called Samvartaka cloud, and it comes at the end of the universe and destroys everything. It's such a powerful cloud we cannot imagine. then the devotees who surrender to Krishna's idea, why is that happening? Shut up. Sorry about that. you cannot survive the Samvartaka cloud. But then Krishna, he simply picks up the Govardhan mountain. How do you even pick up a mountain? Nobody can pick up a mountain. He picks up the Govardhan mountain and he holds it over his head for 7 days, and all the rain doesn't bother them. They don't need to sleep, they don't need to eat, they are just there together with Krishna. So that's what happens when you surrender to Krishna, not whimsically, but according to his. Then Krishna will protect you. Krishna is there. He will not. So I mean, I just like how these verses are juxtaposition to each other like that. And then we have Yashodanandana, Krishna's mother. How can you be the mother of God? It's inconceivable. But that is the relationship with Krishna and the devotees. There is love, and it's not just on principle. It is very personal. It's in reality. The devotee has a desire to love Krishna, and Krishna reciprocates to that desire. So in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda is his mother, and she's his mother. Others have also that mood of seeing him as the most beautiful child and wanting to love him like that. Mother Yashoda, she has the final say. She's his mother. No one else is his mother. But then Brajajana Ranjana. But he's available for all the devotees in Vrindavan. Unlimited amounts of devotees. It's not like, you go to Vrindavan, no, you could probably measure how many kilometers is there and how many houses you can put there, how many people could live there. Spiritual world is not like that. It's not limited. That we may not be able to fully understand. But he is reciprocating and interacting and having relationships in all the different rasas with everyone in Vrindavan. So yes, Mother Yashoda is very special. Krishna has a very special relationship. But he has a very special relationship with everybody. So he's available like that. I think I don't know how long we are speaking, but I was just thinking about that the last few days, and I wanted to somehow speak about Krishna like that. So we come here. I have another sentence. Independently thoughtful. So what does it even mean? We are supposed to surrender. We're supposed to give ourselves to Krishna. So there's a nice balance. We are not supposed to be robots or zombies or just obedient like that. We're supposed to come in with our heart. So therefore we have to actually ourselves hear and listen and understand and move forward to Krishna. I'm not sure how long. This is kind of normal time?
You can go on a little bit more.
Yeah. So I don't know. Next time, if there is a next time, then I should maybe make some plan to have it a little bit more interactive, because I know I'm talking, but I know you all have so many nice realizations and understanding. So maybe we can have some questions or some comments.
Yeah, sure. We can have some, because offering is still going on, so we have some time.
Yes, nice. So if you have some of these relationship or these points of Radha Madhava that you especially resonate with, or if you have some doubts or some questions, then we can try to have some talk and discussion and communication. Yeah. I haven't been here so much, so I don't know everyone so well. I mean, you're coming to Hamnik also, isn't it? Yes. Yes. But there is another verse in Bhagavad Gita that I thought it would slide naturally into that point. Here we have the most confidential knowledge, and Krishna is speaking how this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets, the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self, it is the perfection of religion, everlasting and joyfully performed. That has a purport that goes on for days. That is very nice. But those who are not faithful in devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore they return to the path of birth and death in this world. And then sometimes people are a little upset by that. Why is Krishna playing favorites? But it goes back to the free will. It goes back to the free will. The spiritual world is not, it's not an upgrade in your hotel or in your plane ticket. It's just a different atmosphere. It's a different basis. The basis there is love for God, and if that's not what we want, we don't want to be there. We would just create a disturbance. So
I have one question.
thank you.
So you spoke about this natural calling that comes from within, the deep calling that devotees want. They don't stop caring for social customs and just drawn to Krishna.
Yeah.
I heard this story of Pingala in Srimad Bhagavatam,
Yes.
that she was doing some sense gratification, but suddenly she got an inner calling that she wants to renounce it all, and it seems that it happened out of nothing. So can you share, like, how does it happen, or is it a possibility it just happens by some mercy or some factor, or how does it happen?
Yeah, that's a very special story, isn't it? It's like we see those stories where there's also, is it Labangalatika who became very attached in his previous life to a society girl, and there was one day when it was Indrayagya weather, and everything was weird, and he had to cross a river, and he was floating on a dead body, and then he got to the gate and managed to knock on the door, and then she's saying, what are you doing here? If you put all that endeavor into coming closer to Krishna, you would have been a pure devotee by now. So it's actually hard to say the details for everybody, but I think in Pingala's case, it's like she's standing there and she's supposed to give her affection for a material profit, and there she has no takers. Nobody's coming, and it's get later and later, and she gets so frustrated, and she says, I might as well give up this whole material world. So exactly how it happened for her, it's very hard to tell, but the thing is with experiences, our memory in generally goes only back in this life. But we all agree there have been many lives, right? We have lived lives after lives, and they're sometimes asking, why don't we remember them? And the simple answer is because Krishna has made that arrangement, because otherwise we would go crazy. If we are born and then this man is our father, but in our previous life maybe he was our grandson. It's so confusing, you know. And also, like, I see that a lot around ISKCON, like there's a lot of focus on what is the duties of men and what is the duties of women. You know, but in one life you were a woman, in one life you were a man, in another life you were a dog, and all these identities, that will drive us crazy. Sometimes it happens, somebody takes birth and they're saying, what am I doing here? I'm actually supposed to be in that other village. There are books about that, you know. Sometimes there's a little glitch that memory remains. But in general, the memory does not remain, but the impressions remain. The impressions are stored in the mind, because when we leave the body, the gross physical body is left behind. All that earth, water, fire, and air, modern people would say, what kind of elements are those? But those are the categories, the broader categories. But the mind, intelligence, and false ego, the subtle body, it goes with the soul. So those memories are stored there. But as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He unlocks the relevant memories. Like generally people die, they are full of material desires. And then they wake up in the next life and they are little innocent babies. And suddenly they are teenagers. And then Super Soul says, okay, now it's time for your desires. They can come out now. They don't come out when they are little, they come out at that point. So exactly how and when, I also know when I was very new, I joined in the Gothenburg temple. At that time, it was in the autumn, so every morning there were dead wasps in the windows, because I was cleaning. And then I was asking the Mataji, what kind of karma do you have to be born as a wasp? And she's like, oh, that's very complicated. That's very complicated. So exactly what we have gone through in this world, we have gone through a lot. And a very intelligent person can just hear it. Like there was this king, I forget his name, he was fighting for the demigods. And then towards the end they were very pleased with him, so they wanted to give him a benediction. And then he asked, oh, how long do I have to live? And how long until I die? And they said, oh, only a moment. And he just gathered his wits and surrendered to Krishna in the moment. Whereas most people would like, oh, what about my children? What about my money? What about my everything? Oh no, you know, he just surrendered. And some people are like that. I heard once Sachinandan Maharaj joined, and he came in contact with the devotees the first time. He was very young. He came to the temple and he heard he should chant Hare Krishna, and then he asked them, how much should you chant? And they said, oh, as much as possible. And in general, with some teenager who comes to the temple, that means they chant 2 rounds. He just chanted. He didn't stop chanting. He just kept chanting, because he immediately had that taste. And it's in general, it could be past experiences. There could be a previous life. Like some stories in the Bhagavatam we know. When it comes to Bharat Maharaj, then we know he had that life. He was very advanced in his devotional service, but somehow or another at the end of his lifetime, he became more attached to a deer, which is kind of silly, He didn't go to the pub and have a lot of beer and take drugs, It's just this deer somehow became more important than his meditation. So at the time of death, he was thinking, oh no, but who will take care of the deer? So he was born as a deer, but with his memory, with his full memory. So he went to the temple, he paid obeisances. He even did austerities. You don't see a deer make austerities, They would eat the greenest, precious stuff. He was eating dry leaves instead, just to kind of keep his yoga going. So I think, as far as I remember with Pingala, I don't think it's given exactly, because sometimes it is just that advancement, because when you die and you're born again, when you leave the body and you're born again, your karma comes with you, but not your position. If you're a doctor, you have to start from the kindergarten and do the school. You cannot start as a doctor. But if you had a very strong connection, then this manifests early. Like we have some, like Mozart started to make music when he was 5 years old. We have cases like that also. But in general, the material skills and acquisitions have to be gathered again. But the devotion is never lost. In this endeavor, there is no loss and no diminution. Krishna guarantees it. So if we have, like I used to think that maybe it's a little puffed up to think that you had in your previous life some connection with Krishna consciousness, but I've come to the conclusion that no, if I had some connection with Krishna consciousness and I'm still here, I have nothing to be puffed up about, really. So exactly in that case, I don't have a good answer. I just have like general answers. And sometimes it's mercy, like we speak about that also in devotional service, that Agyata Sukriti, you have unknowingly done something good. So you go Sankirtan. There is a morning walk. Prabhupada goes on the morning walk, and some lady just walks by, and he says, "Good morning," and she says, "Good morning," and smiles. And then the devotees are saying, "Oh, why did you say good morning? Why didn't you say Hare Krishna?" And then I said, "No, it's good if she gives a good smile and greeting to the devotees. That is beneficial for her." Which is kind of, I don't know, amazing that all these little details are there. So somehow somebody has just done something helpful, and it counts. And then Krishna gives some extra opportunity. At the end of the day, free will is still there. We don't have to take the opportunity. But also just by living in the material world lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Like when I was young, I used to read a lot of books. I used to kind of live in the library. I read all the books. I really liked to read books. But then at one point, I just got to a point, I said to my friend, I don't know about these books anymore. They're all the same. There's a beginning and a middle and an end. I think I'm done with this. and he looked at me like, there is still so much variety, but at some point, that variety just becomes stale. So I think material life is a little bit like that. We take birth, we have some family, we have some friends, we have some enjoyment, maybe we have a spouse and children. But when you have done it like 80 million times, also when they woke up, who was that? It was Shriva's son, wasn't it? He died in the kirtan. In Lord Chaitanya's time, they used to go out on Harinam for everybody, but then at night they stayed in Shriva's Angam, in his courtyard, and then they let the ecstasy loose. Because when you go on Harinam in the street, your dhoti is ironed, your tilak is nice, and you walk proper, because you're singing Krishna's name, but you also want to be inviting to the others around. You don't want to be too weird. But in the nights in the Shiva Sangha, all inhibitions were gone. It was just pure love of God. And one night, one of the children, a son of Shriva's, he left his body in the family part, not in the kirtan. And then somebody is trying to come and tell him. He says, and someone from the family, and he said, "Don't disturb Mahaprabhu's kirtan." He sent them out, and the kirtan continued. But of course, Lord Chaitanya, being Krishna, he knew what happened. So after some time, he asked. So I heard there was some sadness, something going on. He said, "No, don't stop the kirtan. This is my son left his body." And Lord Chaitanya said, "Come on, come on, be a little human. That is a big thing." And they went there, and the son was laying there, and then Lord Chaitanya called him back. And he woke up, and Lord Chaitanya said, "How could you leave your loving mother and father like this?" And he's like, "First of all, you know very well that you sent me away, what can I say? And also, which mother and father? I had so many mothers and fathers. But when we're in this body, we forget it. But the impressions are still somehow there. There's still some, like a vague feeling. I guess depending on your culture, like our new generation you've seen in Almvik, they have now come up and they are taking on the responsibility, and it's wonderful to see. But it hasn't always been like every generation. There's a few who stay very committed to devotional service, very many don't. So maybe there is a little different because they actually grew up with all this knowledge, but still at one point they have to make the decision. But if you don't have it in your surroundings, in your culture, in that knowledge, still there is this sense. Like sometimes in a dream, you know, dreams don't make any sense, but sometimes you know this is wrong, I shouldn't be here. I had a dream like that. It was just this is actually a dream. I don't want to be here. Let me wake up. I couldn't wake up. I couldn't get myself out of the dream, but I could sense this is not the real thing. And that feeling comes in the heart. And maybe some mercy, maybe previous life, maybe just that, you know, there are three kinds of intelligence. One person can understand by hearing, one can understand by, seeing, and one will understand by experiencing a few times around in this world. But eventually, that whatever the reason, Super Soul will respond. Do you have something more? Because I'm sure you have some good thoughts also.
No, just thank you. I was just wondering that, especially because it's not mentioned in Bhagavatam, so I used to wonder what happened, what really brought that change, and
I think some of those examples, like some we get the whole story, but sometimes it's just a short example because it's so astonishing. This is not what you are expecting in that situation. Prostitute in the Vedic sense doesn't seem to mean exactly like in the Western world. It means somebody who's just straight up selling sex. Prostitute seems to mean more like someone who's not protected by a single man, who is not living chaste like that, but who are. That used to bother me a lot when I came and we were reading the first canto of the Bhagavatam where is it, in Krishna's city in Dwarka. When he came back, the beautiful prostitute came out first and met him. But that definition basically means like a woman who is not properly situated in one family, and they would be cultural, and they would know music, and they would know literature, and they would it wasn't. I mean, it was obviously sex was involved, but that wasn't the whole thing there. And Prabhupada is saying, in a society, then it kind of works if some people are like that, then. The men who want to stray, they don't pollute innocent girls. So I don't know. I still have an internal discussion about that going on, but it makes sense in a certain sense. So we are just people. We are just souls somewhere in our journey, and at that point she got frustrated. And if that was sudden, or if there was some special blessing, or if just lifetime after lifetime, or I really can't say. But it's not. Does anybody else have more on this? No. But it's not strange. It's actually like I know when I came in contact with the devotees, it was just so clear. Everything was just very clear. Like all kinds of vague questions I have had, they were just lining up, chop, 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 very nicely. So I went back to my friends and said, okay, now we don't have to worry about it here. The chop, chop, the answers are here. And they just looked at me. They just looked at me. And I was so surprised, because I just thought, we are trying our best in this world to be happy and enjoy and whatever. But obviously we're all frustrated, and obviously when we hear about Krishna consciousness, that's going to be the point where we wake up. They had no inclination at all. They just. We had talked about everything. It was very strange. We were very close. And then there's like one of them. She sounded like an old Christian lady. Isn't that something Eastern? So who knows? But Super Soul is there, available for everyone, and that's the regular, ordinary path. But Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to speed it up because Krishna, Super Soul, is not pushing anyone. He's respecting our free will to the extreme extent. Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to speed things up. And the devotees especially, they will go out and just bother people and knock on. I know when we went on Sankirtan, we would go in the streets and meet people. Gornita. Yeah, that's true. Panchatatva ki jai. All glories to everybody. Yeah. So we do that. We follow Lord Chaitanya's instruction by, of course, we have to on Sankirtan also be respectful, but we don't wait for people to come closer. We actually go out and agitate a little bit, and that is the devotee's special mercy. But exactly Pingala Bushime, I don't know, but she was frustrated, and that is a sign of intelligence. So is it Arti time now? Are we happy? Yeah. Are we satisfied? Yes. We're going to chant Hare Krishna and be happy the best way. Hare Krishna. Thank you.